Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and welcome to episode 240 of my weekly community show, Top People's Questions, where I answer all the awesome questions that have been sent me over the past 7 days. This time, rather, we got a much bigger episode with one very cryptic question, which is definitely going to take some time to answer. So, to get into the very first question, coming from Michael Beeland. Got it right without the little pronunciation correction thing. And you want to know, what did I think of the Deja Vu mission in Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero? Gotta be honest, I didn't actually play that one. I think I played Ground Zero once, beat it in like 30 minutes, and I never picked it up again. Despite the fact that I waited, I don't know how long. I mean, from the minute it was released, I literally waited until the official Phantom Pain game came out before I played it for the first time. So, yeah, I can't really say it was a very extensive experience. So, yeah, didn't play it. Next question comes from ThatCruise, and you want to know, if I could change anything from the Metal Gear Solid franchise, whether it would be character or story element, what would it be? I would make so that Metal Gear Solid 5 doesn't exist. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's not canon. It doesn't add anything to the story. It completely drops the ball on what it could have done, and in my opinion, it's completely irrelevant. You could actually take Phantom Pain out, and you would not miss anything. It is probably the most pointless entry in the entire franchise. I think even the Metal Gear Acid games are more relevant and have more significance than Metal Gear Solid 5, like Phantom Pain. But heck, that's just me. Next question comes from Die Drive CJ. I believe you're a newbie, so welcome. And you want to know, is there any chance I could include any Castlevania characters in the Versus series? Hard, because when people ask me if I can add characters from other franchises, the problem is that I like to keep matches like that very contained. So if I was going to use a Castlevania matchup, for an example, I would have to pit two Castlevania characters who technically have not met. That is probably the number one rule that I have for my Versus series matches, that they cannot have met in official canon. And there aren't really too many characters like that because there's so many reboots, different storylines. I mean, so it's possible, but it would be quite a challenge. And I'm not even really the biggest Castlevania fan myself, so it would take even longer than the franchises that I generally do Versus series matches for. But I'm not going to say it's impossible. Next question comes from Sansko Scarpino, and you want to know, would I like to reboot the Percy Jackson and the Olympians that is more accurate to the books? Well, I only saw that first movie once, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was a Harry Potter ripoff, so no. As far as I know, I would not like to reboot it because I was not really a fan of the first movie or any of the books that have come out since then, so no. Next question comes from Hydra Blood 81, sorry. And you had probably one of the longer questions, and you want to know, do I think the old Jedi Order or Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order would benefit from CQC training to better handle themselves without lightsaber? If so, why? They wouldn't really need CQC because the Jedi already have their own form of martial arts. And even for those who aren't Force users, there's something called Teras Kaze, which allows non-Force users to actually combat Force users. So they wouldn't really need CQC. They've already got their own martial arts. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a definitive martial artist. Trust me, even if you disarm him of his lightsaber, he's really not any less threatening. He can still take you out. Just watch, I know some people don't watch it, but just watch Attack of the Clones and what happened between Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi is taking on a bounty hunter fully armored with weapons without his lightsaber, and he's handling himself pretty well. So, yeah, they wouldn't need it. The next question comes from Brandon Williams, and you want to know, what type of music do I like to listen to in video games or day-to-day life? That would be a very extensive list, but I don't like listening to any really of the major popular artists that have really come out over the past 5 years. Not really a big fan of country music, not a big fan of techno, but I don't know, I guess if the mood is right, I could listen to just about anything. In terms of gaming, just relaxing music. I guess maybe some R&B, maybe some slow jam. Surprisingly, I mean, I guess when I get really stressed out while I'm playing a game, it's best to listen to that kind of music just to calm myself down. And the last question of the episode comes from, I hope I say this right, because I was kind of going all over the place, Ivan Gallinger. I hope I said that right. If I'm wrong, I apologize. And you want to know, 2 games are released on the exact same time. One is critically acclaimed with a perfect narrative, albeit with bland, uninspiring gameplay, whilst the other is critically acclaimed with perfect gameplay, albeit with an unoriginal story and cliche narrative. If I could choose only one to purchase one of these games and the other to play only once, which would I purchase? I guess I would pick the one that has the much better narrative because I've always been a story-driven gamer. I've played several games that had a really good narrative, but the gameplay was very, very lacking. I mean, Mafia 3 is a clear example of that. I think the story is very good, but the game just feels very, very outdated, which is something I will be sure to mention in my upcoming game review of that. But yeah, I mean, trust me, I understand that gameplay is always going to be an important element because it is a game and you want to feel in control, but if you don't have a really strong narrative behind it, then there's no reason for me to really care about what I'm doing, regardless of how good the gameplay is. And that's the story for a lot of games that I've played over my life. I mean, heck, that's why I've always been a story-driven gamer. So I would probably buy the first one and play the second one, second option, only once. And there was also one more question that came from JDS4696, but due to certain situation, that's not really a question that I can answer. And I think I mentioned this in the comment section of the last video. It's kind of private. It's not something I like to talk about now. If you'd asked me this question maybe 4 months ago before my dad passed, I might have an answer, but nowadays it's a little bit on the fence due to my current situation. So with that, those are all the questions that you guys sent me for this week. I'd like to thank all of you guys for making this episode possible. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you send them in to me before Wednesday because that is when I will be filming it. And if you get it afterwards and you send your question on Thursday, I will have to answer it in the comments section for that particular video, or in this case, this video. So, like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.